Micah Frankel, joined right now by JP Buys. JP, thank you for the time. Gonna see you in action at LFA 78. How you doing, sir?
Thank you guys for getting me on. Yeah, I'm doing really great. I have my wife with me. I have a fight coming up in like a week's time. What more could I ask for?
Maybe a less hectic schedule. It sounds like you've been busy the last month.
Yeah, the last month's it's been a crazy ride. It's been a crazy emotional roller coaster, but the best part of it is it's all coming down. It's all settled in, and the only thing ahead of us now is next week Friday.
A lot ahead, but real quick, I want to touch on the past. A lot of people saw you UFC Fight Pass or ESPN Plus, the Contender Series. We saw you on that platform previously. Since then, a 3-fight win streak. What's been happening with JP Buys in the development as him as a martial artist?
Yeah, so like you said, a lot of people saw me fight on Fight Pass on the Contender Series back in 2017. That was actually my last fight at 125. After that fight, me and my team and some of my friends that I've been working with for a long time, we decided that I'm young and I'm still growing. It's not healthy to cut all that weight all the time. And it's just better. I perform better at 135. And saying that, exactly what happened now is I can jump at an opportunity a lot quicker because I know I can make the weight within 10 days.
So a big key being at Bantamweight, and how much confidence did it give you also going up to that division, winning the title, and defending it so successfully there for EFC?
Yeah, so me walking around and fighting at bantamweight, I'm not the biggest bantamweight in the world, but I definitely think I'm one of the most physical guys because of my background. I've trained with world champions, UFC fighters, many fighters that fight at the highest level at my division, and I think I match up pretty evenly with them, although I might not be as big as them. As my last fight went by, people didn't think that I would be able to fight in the later rounds, but me walking around lighter, I feel a lot more confident. I fought 19 minutes without the break, if you take it. So I fought up until 4 minutes in the fourth round before I finished my opponent. So I'm really confident. I enjoy the process a lot more.
Not as big as some of those huge bantamweights, but what about your cardio ability? What about your speed? Where do you feel you're in line with bantamweights and as far as those physical attributes?
Yeah, like you say, not the biggest bantamweight, but I definitely think that I can outlast guys as long as I fight my style of fight. I think that I have the gas to go 5 rounds easily. And usually that's all I need. I just need the rounds, fight my style of fight, and then my will break my opponents.
Is that what is attributed to all of your victories coming by stoppage?
I don't think it's that. I don't usually plan on how I'm going to finish it, although saying that my last 2 fights, I did say I was gonna finish my opponent with a guillotine in the first round. It did happen, and my next fight, I did say I said to my team back in South Africa that like maybe a week before the fight, I said, listen, if I could choose, I would want to finish the fight in the 4th round by a TKO, and going into the fight, I fought. And as the 3rd round's break was over, I looked out at my family in the audience, and I pointed to the ground. I said, "I'm gonna finish him now." I went out and I finished him in the 4th. So, yeah, I don't want to sound like a fortune teller, but the last 2 times I've been, I had a feeling what was gonna happen, and I made sure it was gonna happen. On the other fight, that was pretty early in my career, so I just adapted and I snapped at the opportunity once it presents itself. And so once it presents itself, I just look to get the finish.
It has to give you an extra tingle, an extra sensation or happiness to call your own shot like that and pull it off.
Yeah, it really feels good if that happens. You like, after I won, I was like, yeah, I told you so. I told all of you so. So it is really nice to get that nod. But at the same time, it adds a little bit of pressure because if you don't do what you say, you look like a fool.
When you came out here in 2017, you came out to change your life. Obviously, with the person sitting next to you now, it did change your life. How unexpected was it the way that the trip here to Vegas did change your life?
Yeah, 2017, I thought, okay, everything's gonna unfold perfectly. I'm gonna get the contender fight. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna get signed, and I just thought that I was gonna be on top of the world. That was pretty humbling. It showed me that, listen, like, settle down. Like, you have a lot of time in the sport, and I think if it was not for that, then I wouldn't have sat here right now. I don't know, but everything works out, and whatever is meant to be will happen. So, yeah, meeting Cheyenne was a big thing. Both our lives have changed tremendously. I mean, my life's changed. I walk around lighter now than what I did when I used to fight at 125 just because of her. She keeps me on track. She makes sure that I do the right things, I get the right nutrition, and whenever we don't want to train or one of us don't want to train, the other one keeps the opposite one of us accountable for it. So, yeah, I mean, this is definitely the best thing that could have happened to both of us.
And when I talked to Cheyenne, she had mentioned that you have a crazy work ethic.
Yeah, I go pretty crazy. There's not a day that goes by that I do not train. Back in South Africa, I set a standard for myself where I would get 18 practices within a fight camp. That's in a week, 18 practices. So with Cheyenne coming out there, she saw that we had 2 pro practices a day. My body was kind of used to it. Hers wasn't. She had to adapt. She built up. And then before we left there, we were at a point where we would actually compete with each other and be like, hey, this month I did 65 practices, and we would just like keep motivating and pushing each other to get better because we're actually competing to see who does the most work.
Wow, that's them pushing each other. And now you guys, as a team, moved here to Dallas, Fortis MMA. What have you thought so far about the training, your transition now to a new team?
Yeah, I think the transition out to the new team, it was a stressful thing for me because when I came out to the contender, I fought out of a different team, and it was kind of hard for me to put my trust in a team. But coming out here in June, coming out here in June, got married with my wife, met up with the coach. It was like automatically I felt safe, I felt comfortable, and I felt that, okay, Coach Saif is someone I can put my trust in. There was no doubt that he had his best intentions for me, that he's going to keep me grounded and that he's going to keep me on the right path and get me where I need to be. The team is really great. A whole team full of gentlemen, killers. Everyone is insane. Everyone works extremely hard. Everyone's focused. And like Coach says, everyone comes there to do their job. Like, there's time for all the other stuff, but we got a job to do, and that's what we're here for.
And we're going to see you go do your job at LFA 78 against Cristian Rodriguez. What do we see out of JP Buys now that we're seeing him on the big platform again, UFC Fight Pass, for the first time since 2017?
Yeah, you're going to see me be the Jake Pace that you can see on my record. You can expect you're gonna see a finish. I'm gonna come in there. I'm gonna get that guy out of my way as soon as possible. I'm looking at getting another fight in before the end of the year. That way I would have had 3 fights. So I'm not going in there to play around, spend a lot of time in there like my previous fight. I'm literally going to go in there and look to take him out in 1 round in 30 seconds if it's possible. I want to get in there, get the job done. And, yeah, I want to show Texas, I want to show America, and I want to show the world what the Young Savage is about.
What is your vision? What do you see as your path right now? If you knock the fight out as quick as you're saying, it's a 4-fight win streak. You're saying you want another one. What do you see coming? What else do you think? As you said, you've been pretty good with this fortune-telling thing. What's the future hold for the Savage, for the Young Savage?
Yeah, I feel the sky is the limit. I see myself finishing Cristian within the first round. Regardless, I think they go to the ground. Either I'm going to put him on his bum with my hands and then finish him, or I'm going to use my strength and I'm going to put him where I want him and finish him. So, yeah, you guys can say for this prediction is I finish him in the first round on the ground. Saying that, I think after that, the goal is the UFC. In the beginning of the year, in 2019, I wrote down 19 goals for myself. Every year, I write down the goals, whatever the last 2 digits is of the year we're going into. So next year will be 20 goals. And one of the goals I had is I said that in 2019, I would like to have a base UFC uniform. So that's still a goal of mine. I already calculated it. If I go in there, I finish Cristian as soon as possible. I get out there without any injuries. I get straight back into training with the coach. I have another 6 weeks until the end of the year. So that still gives me six weeks to chase that goal of getting that base UFC uniform. But if that base uniform doesn't come, hopefully another fight comes, and that puts me one step closer to the goal for next year.
Do you have your eye at all on the main event? Adrian Yanez, Kyle Estrada, also bantamweights. Do you have any attention that you're paying that night after your fight to what happens with them?
You know, I the way I found out that they were bantamweights is my wife actually told me that she fought on the same card as Yanez, and that he's a bantamweight. But, yeah, I have zero interest in what happens there. Obviously, if his name gets mentioned to me, I'd consider it. But right now, my goal is just to finish Cristian and whoever is next. After that, I'm not, really concerned about what happens in that fight, because at the end of the day, it's not guaranteed that I would get put up against those guys. I might have to prove myself a little bit more. But, yeah, I'll be watching the fight, obviously, after I finish my guy, because anyone in my division is someone I want to take out.
One thing that could be coming up down the future that I did want to get your thoughts on also, the last inhibited continent that has not hosted a UFC event yet is Africa. And I believe that South Africa has the best infrastructure, the big market that the UFC would like to host a show. What do you think the possibilities of a UFC in Joburg being?
Like I said, I definitely think that a possibility to fight in South Africa for the UFC, that would probably be one of my biggest dreams come true. Saying that, I do doubt that it would go to Johannesburg. I think they would head to Cape Town. It's a little bit better there. It's better for the tourists. It's more beautiful. And, yeah, like one of my former teammates, Don Madge, he's on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC, and he's born and raised and bred in Cape Town. So I do think that if they head to Africa, they would definitely head down to Cape Town.
being an EFC champion, being there and seeing the fan base, how long do you think, how far are we from the UFC being there in South Africa?
Fighting in the EFC, I obviously have a good relationship with the guys out there. I've had conversations with them, and I've heard them speak about having conversations with the UFC. And I think if not by the end of next year, maybe in 2021, we could possibly see a fight out there, a UFC event out there. I feel that they are trying to go closer there. I mean, they made another tour which is closer to Africa, which was Abu Dhabi. It's only 8 hours from South Africa. So I feel like they're kind of testing the market going that side. And I think next year, if not 2021, we will definitely have more South Africans in the UFC and possibly have an event in Africa.
I look forward to that. That's something great for the future. And again, back to the present. Presently, you're getting ready for LFA 78 with the move, with the changing of team, this fight coming up so quickly. How important and big of a challenge do you feel this fight is?
You know, this is a really big fight for me, not because it's my first fight in LFA, but I feel like a lot of eyes are on me from South Africa. A lot of people have followed my journey as a 23-year-old man. I just relocated, moved my whole life with my wife, moved my dog, relocated to Texas. So I do feel that just from my home country, there's a lot of eyes on me, a lot of people watching whether I'm going to drop the ball or not. And at the same time, I got to fly the flag for my new team. I got to show them that they can trust me, that they did the right thing for giving me the fight. Because if I don't carry their name high, I'm the guy that dropped the ball. So there is pressure on us, and it is a huge fight for me just because of the expectations from my people in South Africa as well as my new team, Fortis MMA.
There's some big expectations, but can you talk a little bit about the pride you take in carrying your country's flag with you?
Yeah, I'll definitely make the walk on November 15th with the flag with me. I will be stepping in the cage with the flag on me, and I take a lot of pride in being a South African, being one of the very few guys that actually fight at the highest level. And it's always been a big deal of me to represent my country. I was 15 years old, and I went to go wrestle all around the world, represented my country. I went to go wrestle at world championships. So, yeah, it's a really big deal for me to walk with that flag. And, yeah, with our national sport, the rugby, South Africa just won the Rugby World Cup like a week ago. So, yeah, there's a lot of momentum behind South Africa now, a lot of positivity. So, yeah, I think that just lit another fire underneath my ass.
Can't wait to see you in action, sir. LFA 78, JP Bays. Last but not least, is there anybody that you need to thank or shout out to?
Yeah, obviously I want to thank my coach and my team for giving me this opportunity to represent them. I want to thank my wife for sticking with me through the tough time. I want to thank my sponsor, Directional Force, CVC, Fighting for the Lifestyle. Yeah, like moving out here